Hello, this is Daniel, and we're here with In Gear Media podcast number 2, and finally got the boy Daniel on. Daniel, tell us.
What's going on? Thank you for having me. This is the first one I'm here with now. I mean, I guess this is the only second one, so it makes sense.
First of many. First of many. Tell us about yourself, though. Me and Michael did our, kind of explained how we got into the car industry and photography. So, what about you?
Kind of started when I was younger. I had like the Hot Wheels and stuff. Typical kid, I guess you could say. But no, back in like high school, my family, we opened a tuning shop, so we got kind of more into like the modification side. So back then it was more like Integras, 350Zs, the tuner stuff, Evos, STIs, all that stuff. And then back when I started going into high school in Corona, my buddy Brandon, shout out, he got me into photography. He started taking me like all the car shows back in like the Hingwa Lee days and stuff. Back when it was actually fun, back before it was all just drama and people trying to get clout. But he started taking me shows. I saw his pictures. I thought they were freaking awesome. And I wanted to do the same thing. Like, I wanted to take photos that were worthy of being on someone's wall or being a wallpaper on someone's computer. Like, that's my kind of thing. So from there, started going more car shows, and then I started to take more pictures, and now I'm going to less car shows, but taking about the same amount of pictures. So,
And that's funny you say that about going to less car shows. But why do you feel? What's your take on the car show industry now?
Honestly, it's just not the same. I feel like back then it was just fun. Everyone's going out there to see cars, take pictures, talk to each other. Now it's like, what can I record so that I can become popular on Instagram or TikTok or something? Or people are organizing just events where they can drive like assholes all the time or do whatever they think they want, and then they justify it with saying, well, I'm doing this to put it on social media. And it's just like, man, this ain't with cars. Like, take it to the mountains, take some back roads. Like, don't just be driving fast on the streets and doing donuts. Like, people act like they're a car enthusiast because they can do that, but then they drive on a back road and they're behind the freaking Prius or something, Like, I don't know, crazy stuff.
Yeah, see, I feel like it kind of all went downhill. Aside from the takeovers, that's another thing.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But no, I feel like you said, everyone's just trying to get views now. They're view thirsty. They all want to be Instagram famous.
Yeah. And even more so as like a photographer. Like, I don't know if you get this vibe when you're talking to people at car shows, but like, you feel like they're not necessarily doing it because like it's as a shared passion of cars, but more of like, oh, like if this guy can take some cool pictures for me, or if this guy can take a cool video for me, then like I can put it out there and I can become popular for it. And it's like, well, if they're a photographer, I don't even have to pay them, like they should. I'll share the clout with them, basically,
Right, and I feel like a lot of people nowadays kind of overlook the fact that photographers and videographers do need to be paid.
Yeah, like, I've had friends where, like, I tell them that I charge people a few $100 for a photo shoot, and they're like, oh my gosh, really? It's like, yeah, dude, like, I've been doing this for, like, 8 years now, and I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on all my gear. Like, you like my photos and you say they're awesome. Why wouldn't you spend, like, $100 or whatever and pay, like, charging you for a photo shoot? Like, I'm not just some new guy on the block where I'm pulling out my iPhone and just saying, here you go.
Yeah, and the iPhone photographers have definitely taken over low-key for a little bit of time.
I've worked with professional brands. You work with professional brands. Like, you get to a point where it's like, well, if I'm not going to get paid for something, or unless it's like a creative idea of something I've always wanted to do, it's not worth the time anymore. Yeah,
I think that's another reason why you've kind of faded out from the car shows.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a big thing.
Mm. Yeah, back then it was just more of just the friends and homies hanging out. And now even like those friends and homies, most of them don't go to car shows. Some of them don't even do anything now. Like, you try to text them, you don't get a text back for like 4 months or something.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Even like Monterey, dude. Like, Monterey is completely different. But that's
Car Week, man. Car Week was the best, and I'm going to tell you why it was ruined. I believe, what was it, 2 years ago, that faggot Edmund Mondy If you have not heard, he went and made, like you said, car community is all about drama now.
Don't point it all at him, though.
No, it was him and Daily Driven Exotics.
DDE was the much bigger influence, in my opinion, on that. Like after I've met Choi and I've met Mondi, and I have a lot of friends that like work with Mondi still.
Right.
A lot of them are like, yeah, he doesn't even associate with them anymore. He doesn't like do that kind of stuff anymore. He's more like track life, and like that's a big thing because a lot of people are like, why don't you take it to the track?
Yeah.
So he started to take it to the track, but then you look at people like DDE that were part of that same circle. They're still doing all the stupid shit on the street and then acting like they're innocent.
And I feel like that just boils down to the point of one group was able to, like, okay, I need to know when I need to grow up.
Exactly.
And I feel like DDE just doesn't know when to grow up. It's like you're 45 years old and you're still, doing that stuff. Like, it's all fun and games. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. Like,
but for him, it's a job now.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't do anything else besides YouTube now. Where other people, they can at least own a different business, or some of them they get paid from mom and dad. Whatever the circumstance may be. But for him, like he has to put out that content, or otherwise his bank account. I'm sure he has money saved up and all that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it just gets crazy, and I feel like him introducing like that "who cares" and "it's all about me" lifestyle into the car scene and making it so public, it amplified it, and now that's kind of all the car scene is.
Oh yeah, Daily Driven Exotics was definitely the main reason why a lot of car enthusiasts and younger kids, when they go to car shows, now you hear them say, "Rev it," do a pull, do a donut. Like, no, know. Dude, I love pulls as much as the next guy, but
there's a time and place for it. Like, back at Lambo Newport days, there's cops all on the street, like, and you're gonna do a pull from 0 to 80 on a street that has like houses on it. Like, come on, man, be smarter than that. Just because a kid told you to.
Hey, man, you got to get the views. Like it boils down to the first thing we talked about, views. And
you know what's gonna come next is the YouTube video about I got pulled over a cop for whatever stupid reason, and
it's clickbait at the end of the day.
Exactly.
It's clickbait. But I mean, there's so many car shows that used to be great and unfortunately were canceled, and the Cars and Coffee Irvine
we both know about the OG days like that.
Yeah, that was the best. Me and Michael touched a little bit about that on the first podcast, but those were the days with Cars and Coffee Irvine, and another one in OC was Aliso Viejo Cars and Coffee.
Aliso was my favorite. That's where like the true Cars and Coffee feel came from back when I started going to car shows. It's from Aliso. Like, you literally, anyone you're walking by, like you stare at a car, like someone starts talking to you, and it's not just like as an attention thing. Like, they're genuinely interested in the car, and like they want to share what they've done to it or what they know about it and stuff like that. Versus now, they're just like, "Yeah, you like my car? Follow me on Instagram," and they end it there basically.
Yeah.
It's like it was a genuine interest about cars, and now that's not even there. Like, Aliso's not even there. All those people that genuinely had a passion for cars, a lot of them don't go to car shows anymore. Well,
and another thing I heard about Aliso Viejo Cars and Coffee was that the people that own that lot did not want them there.
Yeah.
That was a big reason why they canceled it.
Which kind of sucks, too, because I'm sure they brought in like a good amount of business. Because Aliso and Irvine, like it was not a small meet. Like,
no.
There were hundreds of people that would show up just for the car show or Cars and Coffee.
Yeah.
And then a lot of those people, they're grabbing coffee and grabbing bagels or whatever they want to snack on in the morning.
Yep.
Like what is it, San Clemente? Cars and Coffee? The one that little like shopping mall thing?
Yes.
Like the people, I've talked to like some of the people that have friends with the business owners, and they're like, yeah, dude, they make a ton of money and they're happy for it, but at the same time, like, they have to deal with the assholes that attend that Cars and Coffee.
Yeah, and I feel like there's so many Cars and Coffee and car events that come close to Cars and Coffee Irvine and Cars and Coffee Aliso, but nothing will ever be the same as when those events were put on. It was just a different era.
Yeah, I agree. Not just that, I feel like a lot of the car shows are a little diluted now. So, like, you have everyone trying to start their own car thing, and everyone shows up, and it's like there's a Civic there, there's a Miata, and there's maybe like a Camaro or Mustang, and none of them know how to drive. None of them know how to like take proper safety. Their car's leaking oil. They have no tire left, and they want to go hit the canyon. It's like, yeah, I'm all for that, dude. But like, I'm not driving behind you. I'm like a mile back, or like I'm a mile ahead of you. Like, I'm not gonna take that risk of going through the canyons and you dropping oil on the turn and I fly off the road.
Yeah, no. I've had friends that have eaten shit on canyons, and it's definitely not fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and that goes with every like part of the car scene. It's not just the, like you said, the Civics and the Camaros, but you even see it now with supercar owners.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but money doesn't buy them. That doesn't.
Attention, though. That's what matters.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I went on a drive once, and there was a yellow Lamborghini, and homeboy was crossing the double yellow after every turn, and I'm sitting there in a GT350 sitting passenger, and we're just like, how is this person allowed to drive on the road? How did he get a license?
Yeah,
and it's scary that you share the road, and not just share the road, but you're doing sketchy stuff with these people in the canyons, and they don't really know how to drive.
Exactly. They think that the car can do it all for them, and all they have to do is push a freaking pedal and turn a steering wheel. Like,
yep.
Got to be a little more there than that.
And if it was that easy, everyone would be a great driver. I would be a great driver.
Yeah, but too bad we live in California. We know that's not true.
Yeah. Let's, speaking of cars in California,
oh boy.
I actually wanted to bring up a new car. It doesn't really have relevancy to California, but just in general, new cars.
Okay.
Let's talk about some new cars, and maybe not new ones, but something that's been reworked.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've heard, but Porsche is celebrating their 75th birthday.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the Vision 357.
Yes, I love it.
Really?
I love it. Me personally, I'm a huge modern car person, especially as a driver. I'd love to have a modern dash. I'd love to have a modern suspension and the electronics inside. But I also want the feel of a classic car where it almost wants to kill you, but you're still super confident in the car. So I mean, you get all the modern amenities within the car, within that Porsche, but you still have that nice classic look. And knowing Porsche, it's going to drive phenomenal, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I feel like Porsche definitely does not miss when it comes to the driving experience. I mean, I drove a GT4 once, and that was the first car I learned manual on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, that car, I felt like I could drive manual in anything. And then I drove manual in a GT350 and was not the same. Not the same at all. Yeah. So Porsche definitely gives you a bit of a confidence boost.
100%. No, but so what don't you like about it? I should ask.
Yeah, so, I mean, to me personally, I'm not digging I don't know too much about what they're going to put in it motor-wise and suspension-wise, but just looking at it from the outside, I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible. It looks like a retarded Volkswagen Beetle had a baby with a regular, normal Porsche 356.
Okay.
I don't know. I know you were telling me earlier that you liked the bubbly look to it because, you like the 356s.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I can appreciate that old car. I can see where they're trying to take it. And honestly, I think it looks good on the car, but I kind of can't see that old, chubby, bloated Beetle look on it.
Yeah, the front, the front 3/4 panels, you can kind of see it.
But, I mean, it also has that old school German Porsche look, which I think just looks phenomenal. And back in the day, they were just a bubble, basically, rounded corners. And
yep.
I love it. It doesn't work for all cars, but the Jaguar E-Type, very similar style. Very rounded edges, nothing very aggressive on it, but it looks great to me, I think. So
See, I like that car. I like that, but then I don't like this. So I don't know.
yeah, I mean the pictures. I think they look good, but then at the same time, knowing car manufacturers nowadays, the pictures can look either fantastic or absolutely horrible, and the car is going to come out and it's going to look completely different anyway.
Yeah, and I think the perfect example of that is when Toyota came out with the FT1.
Yeah, that, and then even the BMWs, like the new facelift. I thought they didn't look good in pictures, but then when I saw like the M3 in person, I was like, okay, it's still kind of ugly, but it grew on me. But then I see the M4 and it's like, no, that thing is still hideous.
Speaking of M4s, the M4 CSL. What are your thoughts on that?
Waste of money.
Why? I know why, but why do you say that?
I mean, how much more money do you want me to spend on a car that isn't very much different than the base model of the same thing?
See, I feel like everything with BMW, though, is going up in price, like, a lot.
Well, that's most cars right now.
Yeah, especially since all the parts and everything has kind of, gone down the drain.
Yeah, all the manufacturers know they can charge more right now anyway. And then the dealerships, they want to just give a markup on any normal car. Yeah. So, I mean, you can have a regular 3 Series and they're like, gosh, those pesky interferences with getting parts in, that's an extra $10,000 for you guys now. Sorry.
That's why the markup on the C8Z06 is what it is.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I can't even afford one, so if I'm being honest, I haven't even looked at what the markups are going for on one.
Oh, I mean, when the regular C8s came out, I think it was like some dealerships were wanting to do like 70, 80K markup on a Stingray, C8 Stingray. Like, so I haven't seen the C8Z06 numbers too much, but I know it's reaching the 90K, and that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot for a Corvette.
It's like back in the day with the M4 GTS. Like I genuinely thought that was a good-looking car, and I thought the technology in it at the time was awesome. But then when I would go to dealerships and look at them, and they wanted $100,000, $150,000 extras on top of it, and that, what was it, $130,000, $120,000 cars now. So that's a Ferrari. That's a Lamborghini right there.
Yeah, I can go buy a used 458 for that.
Yeah, like I even asked like a salesperson. I was like, "You really want like $210,000 for this thing?" Like at BMW Riverside. And I went back a year later, and the same one was still sitting in the showroom with an $80,000 markup on it still. And I was just like,
wow, these dealerships don't give a shit.
But I mean, and that was 7-8 years ago, however long ago.
Yeah, that was a while back.
And now you just see it more and more common on any car.
It's
wild.
It doesn't have to be a sports car for it to have that markup.
Yeah.
That's what's sad.
And it seems like some people that the people within the sports car, like the lower end car scene, they almost want to wear that as like a badge of honor. Like yeah, I got the new Z. Like I think the new Z is freaking badass, and they're like, okay, I think the new Z is badass too, but for $90,000 or $80,000, whatever markup you're paying for, like I'm not going to get a Nissan for $90,000.
Yeah, no, you can't. There's nothing you can do that would convince me to buy that.
Yeah, like, it's so disappointing because people get excited for these new sports cars that are coming out, especially when they're, like, it's an homage to, like, the previous model. So, like, you get the 350Z, the 370Z, now you get the 400Z that they're calling it or whatever.
Yeah, the 400Z.
So, like, you're getting all these badass cars, and it's just like, well, I can't even afford it, dude. Like the people that are into the car stuff, they can't afford it. So then you just get the people in the other scenes. They're like, well, $80,000, what is that to me? And they don't appreciate the car. They just think like, I got a great deal for this sports car.
The more people that are okay with paying the markup.
Yeah,
that's the whole reason why the markup's just going to keep going up from here on out.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but I mean it's the reality we live in now. Especially with a lot of these cars coming out, not just the M4, but the M3 just got debuted at Daytona. So I want to hear your thoughts on the new M3, because personally, when I first saw the regular M3, I didn't like it.
I didn't either.
I didn't like it. But you know what? I will say this. When I was in Monterey, and this is the only time I've seen a murdered out brand new M3. It actually looked decent.
Okay.
It looked tolerable because the grill wasn't so in your face.
It
was subtle
with the shadows, the dark black.
Yes. It looked good. So I mean, the M3 CS, when they debuted it, the color was this terrible green. Personally, I didn't like the color.
Yeah, I feel like that green can only suit specific cars. Like I'm a fan of that color, and like that acid green on the 918s.
Yes.
Like I thought it was absolutely amazing. Like that tennis ball yellow, as I would call it, or tennis ball green.
Yeah.
Like, and it looked great, but then you put it on like a more rounded car that has a lot of room on it. It takes away what that color is, and I was like, like the car's cool, but the color kind of ruins it for me.
Yeah. I feel like recently a lot of car manufacturers are kind of trying to follow Porsche. I feel like when it comes to the colors that they throw out there.
Yeah, kind of trying to have like a more unique, special color of their own.
And getting back to photographers and stuff like that. Photographers and everybody on Instagram has been wanting to see what's the newest, like, craziest color. Mm-hmm. Like this car's purple. Like, what happened to like seeing a black Carrera GT and being like, that is awesome. Like, that's the shit.
No, like way back, CJ Wilson's Blurple P1.
Oh my god, the Cerebus Pearl.
Yeah, like when I first saw the thing, I was like, whoa, dude, this is wild. Like. Yeah, even more so because it's paint. And then give it a year, and every single 350Z had it on it. Like, it doesn't work the same. Like,
no, it definitely doesn't.
There were some cars I would see it and like, okay, it looks okay, and then you see it on your friend's Corolla, and you're like, okay, I'm tired of seeing this now.
yeah, it makes it not special when you see it on other cars. But I will say this, knowing that it's paint and not wrap, that it makes it that much more special.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, I mean, some people are saying that this M3, the M3 CS, is pretty close to signal green, which it looks very, very similar to it. But, I don't know. I feel like that color with the carbon bits that it has on it, it makes the car look a little better. But I still can't justify paying, even if I had the money, paying the absurd amount that it's probably going to be for the M3 CS.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll probably be like 120-ish.
Around there, especially if the M4 CS is going for about $139,000 MSRP.
I mean, like I honestly, if I had to choose between the new M3 and the new M4, I would choose the M3 because I feel like it's more proportional to it. I feel like the M4 is a little bit too stretched out for the grille. It just doesn't look right.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I didn't like either. But then you see it in person, and you start to appreciate the smaller things. Like you can ignore the beaver teeth grille. Like the carbon bucket seats. Those things are freaking awesome. The seats are amazing looking. Like I love them, and I love the new updated interior on them. That is a big thing for me. Like the older interiors on the BMWs where it had like the little ball shifter thing. Yeah. I thought it reminded me of the Prius shifter. And I was just like, I can never own one of these. Like I just think that thing is hideous.
You know what? Now that you say that, I can't unsee it. And I hate you for that.
Like, I love like the F80s and stuff. And the shifter, like you get in it and it's like, oh, okay, I'm driving a Prius now.
Yeah.
I'm driving a fast Prius, but it's...
Yeah, the interior has definitely gotten a lot better on BMWs, I will say that. Yeah. But I just want to see how it's going to compare to the F80 sound. Because the F80 sound was terrible.
Yes. Terrible. It was an upgraded 350Z.
That's the nicest way anyone could have put it. I would have put it a different way. But yeah.
With the BMW drivers and their freaking burble tunes too, man.
That was, oh my god. Yeah.
The worst thing about the F80s is that when that burble tune got all popular, and you just every single BMW, you can be driving 30 miles down the street and it's just and it's like that's a little excessive, don't you think?
Yep. It's funny you say that because I have to hear one come out of the back of my house every single morning, and he just rips it, and you just hear the burble tune, and I'm just like, hey man, some people trying to sleep at 6 a.m.
Like
it's
people
terrible.
make fun of all the little tuner cars that have burble tunes, and it's like, hey man, your M3 doesn't sound any better, you know? Like,
yeah, and you're paying how much for it to sound like shit?
Yeah, like, I don't know, like it's given, you know, like when you get an inline six or a V6, like you're gonna have usually a set tune, and unless you're pouring like a bunch of money to like change out the headers, the head, the cams, like you're gonna have that tune, that same tone throughout the whole car's life. It doesn't even matter what exhaust you put on it, what turbos you put on it. So
yeah, it's unfortunate what car sounds have come to.
Yeah, I mean, even more so when they're playing them out of the speakers, you know.
Let's not even get started on the electric cars.
Wasn't it BMW and Mercedes that started implementing that first, right?
You know what? I think it was. It was. BMW, actually, I think it was.
Yeah, I remember back when I worked at the dealership, and I was driving them all the time, and I was just like, you step on it a little bit, and you hear it from the speakers before you hear it from the exhaust, and I was like, oh man, come on.
Yeah, no. And it's funny you say that because I feel like having that just ruins the whole aspect of like, I can hear the motor. It's like, no. You're hearing a speaker. You're hearing something that's played off, and it's off probably by a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm sure they could do better, but at the same time, it takes away. Like, it feels... I mean, it's fake, you know? Like,
it's fake, yeah, it is.
You can't do nothing about that. You just knowing that it's fake, it puts you off immediately. At least for an enthusiast, I would say. I'm
more of an all-natural guy, all around. You know, not just cars.
I get
Yeah. Yeah. You know, let's get into IMSA.
Okay.
Let's transition to that because
it's on right now.
Yeah, it started at 1:30 p.m. today. So if you guys aren't following that, Acura is actually in the lead right now.
Still, huh?
Still, yeah.
Okay.
I believe second is coming with the Porsche.
Nice.
Then Porsche's still keeping the lead on that one.
I'm always a fan of Porsche being the lead for any kind of race. I'm a Porsche person. I love Porsche.
Yeah, I mean, I think that goes without saying for me too. I fucking love Porsche.
Yeah, Porsche and Corvette. I know that's like...
Yeah, Corvette's first, actually.
Oh, yeah. Not in that order.
Yeah, I kind of... Let me ask you a question here. What car or what manufacturer do you think is going to come out on top for this Rolex 24-hour? It's a hard question, but what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I don't follow enough of like the racing stuff as much as I should, at being as a so-called enthusiast, as I say. But I mean, I appreciate it, and when I do, I try to watch it. I kind of more so watch a race to appreciate what went into the car, like no matter what the manufacturer is. Mm-hmm. Like I love the design they use. I love to see like how they changed an aerodynamic piece in a car and how it differs from a different model just to make it that much better on the track, or how they change the suspension up or tune the motor. Like, like I'm an engineer. Like I like that kind of shit.
Yeah, see, that's good though. You're more technical with it. That's better than just being like, this is my favorite, constructor. This is my favorite, brand. So I'm going to go with this.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I would love to see Porsche win, or an underdog, because I'm an Aston Martin fan. I would love to see Aston Martin win something, but who knows whenever that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see, I mean, it's not for IMSA, but was it the Audi LMP cars?
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw it at Monterey a few years ago. It was like when e-tron started to come out. And I'm pretty sure it was an Audi R8 LMP car that I saw, and I thought it was absolutely beautiful.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Was it that white with like the green accents?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Let me look that up right now.
I think that thing is absolutely cool looking. Like,
yeah, it's the most aggressive. I think you're talking about the LMS GT3.
Yes, LMS. I'm sorry, not
Yeah.
LP.
Yeah, that car looks menacing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. We can get back to IMSA in a sec, but
yeah,
when I first saw the thing, I was like, "Oh, dude! Like, if I wanted an R8, like that's the R8 I want. Don't give me just a base R8 that I see every day in Orange County. I want something special like that."
Yeah, that's a whole different monster right there. But
back to IMSA.
Yeah.
I would love to see Porsche do something great, but I want to see what I like to see like an underdog, especially more so in technology wise, because if a manufacturer like Aston Martin that usually doesn't like compete hugely in this kind of stuff, if they like somehow top 5, top 3, and you're just like, okay, what did they do differently this year to be able to compete at such a level, you know?
right.
Porsche, Aston Martin, I love those guys racing, so.
I think overall, I'm going to have to say Cadillac.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to... I think Cadillac and Acura. I think Cadillac's going to be first, I'm going to say.
Okay.
And then I'm going to say second's going to come. And then third, I feel like Porsche's going to go third. I don't think Porsche's going to win.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because right now they're second. Well, one of their cars is second.
Yeah, they got a few places until the next car, too. So.
Yeah, and Acura has that Porsche sandwich right now.
That is true.
And it's been like that for the past hour. So that's my pick.
Hey, man, we got a lot of race to go still.
Oh, yeah. It was like 15 hours.
Yeah.
The last few hours is when it gets real interesting.
Seriously. That's when the cars start to freaking break down.
Yeah, not interesting for the viewers. Not interesting for the drivers.
Stressful for the drivers, great for the viewers.
Yes. Speaking of, because you were mentioning the electric cars and the sounds and the fake sounds and stuff.
Yeah.
I want to throw at you a concept car, actually.
Okay. I love concept cars.
Yeah. I'm never one... After the Toyota FT1 ruined me, because when the Supra came out, I was just so pissed off. So I'm gonna stop harping on that, and let's look at this new Audi.
Oh, okay.
It's an Audi. It's an off-road car, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Some people are calling it the Tony Stark car.
Okay, give me the name.
Let's see. My bad. So they're gonna call it it says Audi Active Sphere is an off-road with no screens. So that and a truck bed. So an Audi having a truck bed is pretty interesting.
Huh.
And it looks, from the photos, it looks like you can fit 2 golf bags in there. So, yeah. Hey, honestly, if you're into golfing, man.
I like the exterior. Interior, I feel like it's like typical modern minimalism.
Right.
Minimalism.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. Like, I keep an interior simple and sleek, but when you take everything out of it, I feel like it just becomes like a waiting room at the hospital. Like, it's just bare bones, basic. Like, you look around and you just feel dead inside. So
yeah, I could definitely see that.
I think the outside, the exterior looks pretty cool. It's something that a style you don't see on very many like SUV off-road type cars. Something it reminds me of is the Gambala Martian that was being shown, I believe, last year. I don't know if you ever saw that, but
I haven't seen that.
Gambala, they showed it at Geneva, I believe.
Okay.
But yeah, the Gambala Martian, it's based off of a Porsche, obviously.
Oh, okay.
And I think that thing is badass, but I think the Actisphere reminds me a lot of that style. Because you still have like that sleek, almost like coupe look.
Definitely.
And as you can see, the Gambala is a coupe, but the Audi looks like it could be a coupe. But it's an off-road car that I'm sure they can probably do something crazy, and someone's going to be scared to even get a scratch on it. So if you're just going to drive on the streets all the time, but I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it on the street, seeing it on the roads every day.
Well, I'd rather see this Audi than the Tesla Cybertruck.
That I agree with.
Yeah, that's a monstrosity. No. And, I feel like with all these electric cars, none of them really look good, but they're tolerable. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. I mean, this is just personal choice, but when it comes to electric cars, I absolutely hate electric cars, right?
Okay.
So, but if I had to pick one, if someone put a gun to my head and said, hey, you got to pick one electric car for the rest of your life, I think I'd have to say Rivian.
Really?
Yeah.
I would go Porsche technology take on,
Okay. All right.
That's just me.
See, that's also a second option for me.
Rivian does have some really cool stuff. I found out about Rivian like years ago from a buddy when they were doing like their skate deck thing.
Really?
And I really wanted to get one of those. I just thought they were like interchangeable skate deck or whatever they called it back then. It just looked really freaking cool, but it was like super expensive.
That sounds interesting.
Rivian, I think they're a great company also. I just think they're a little bit priced out of the market of what
100%.
electric cars are trying to be right now.
Yeah, it's definitely not an obtainable electric car.
And you know me, I'm not like some rich guy, so I at least try to stay within my realm. I try to keep up on the brands, but once I start going into the cars, I'm like,
Well, at least you do.
Give me a few years.
So, the R1T, I mean, that, I don't know if you've seen that one, but because they have two models for right now.
Okay.
They're coming out with more, I think, in the coming years, but the R1T is my favorite because there's actually options where you can put like a barbecue in the car.
Yes, I think that is one thing Rivian does great with, especially like it's an off-road car. It's supposed to be an off-road car. It's a truck. Their options make sense.
Definitely.
It has like the power generator. I think you can get as an option. The air compressor one. The barbecue, like you said, like that's freaking awesome.
You can even have a full camping setup too in the trunk.
Like, forget the Cybertruck. There you go.
I don't want to drive some chrome piece of shit that's built by Tesla because personally, Teslas are not the way to go when it comes to a cheaper electric car.
Yes and no. It's great if you can get like the tax incentive to work out for you, but
that's not always there, though.
Exactly,
that's not always there. It's not promising,
and they're just so much more expensive now. And the Model 3 used to be like, I think they started at like 33 or something a few years ago, and now all of a sudden they're starting at like 38 or mid 40s.
Yeah,
and then if you want any kind of extended range or any kind of option, that immediately like 10K more, and you're just like
And the quality hasn't gotten much better either.
I'll say the early Model S's quality, if you compare it to now, has gotten much better. Like
really.
So like back when I worked at that dealership, like I was driving the cars all the time, I would compare the early Model S's, and it's because that's all that was really around back then, besides like the 2-door coupe one. Yeah, that
was the only one.
It had a very similar interior quality as like an old Fisker. So I don't know if you've ever been in one of those either, but it was a very, very cheap leather feel. Things were kind of junky. You've been in like old 360s and F430s and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
You know how like the buttons when they start to get old, they get like that goopy feel on them and stuff.
I noticed that on one of the cars that I did ride in.
That's what would happen on the Fiskers and the Teslas back then. And there was a very similar quality to that. So like every time I see a Fisker, I immediately think of Tesla, and I think of how garbage their interiors are. So that is what my opinion is of. At least they've gotten better from that. Right.
I mean, and going back to the Rivian, I mean, it says you could tow up to 11,000 pounds. That's
gnarly.
That's insane. And then you were talking about the and for a truck to go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. That is ridiculously impressive. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I hate electric cars, but like I said, if I had to pick one, the R1T.
See, I like but dislike electric cars because I like the motor, I like the way it sounds. Even more so as someone that likes to modify their own stuff or like build stuff themselves. If you have a motor, it's a lot easier to just take something off, replace it, put it something of your own on it, and then it changes it in some kind of way. Versus like an electric car, you have the battery and can't really do anything yourself because you're dealing with high voltages, and a lot of people don't know the safety requirements you need to be dealing with such high voltages. So if you want to make your Tesla faster, what are you going to do? Like you text Elon Musk and ask him for a computer update? Like, if I want to make a Corvette faster, I'll do whatever I want. I'll tune it, put an exhaust, change tires, put a blower on it, typical modification stuff.
It's so much easier to modify a car with an actual motor rather than a gigantic battery. And
I think that's why it's pretty odd, but like the Tesla car scene, where a lot of it is just a bunch of Tesla Model 3s that have different wraps, or they have some kind of exterior modification. Don't
even get me into that, because
dude, it is insane. We know a lot of people that have wrap shops.
Yeah,
you ask them, they have made so much money literally just from wrapping Teslas.
Yeah, and
specifically Model 3s. And
it's the easiest car to wrap, I've heard too. I was actually talking to Parsa. Parsa was telling me that the Teslas are so easy just because it's literally you can just get the bumper piece and just throw it on there. It's not there's not all types of curves like you would get in a more modern car.
Makes sense.
Because, when you think Tesla, it's okay, it's a new car, right? It's going to be have more aggressive, curves to it. But no, apparently it's one of the easiest cars that he's ever wrapped. So, yeah, that's insane to think about because all cars are hard to wrap.
Yeah.
There's no, that car's easy, but I guess the Tesla is one of those cars. It falls in that category.
Yeah, and another thing I truly respect from Tesla and stuff is their maintenance stuff. So I had a friend that was a software engineer for Tesla. And he's like, oh yeah, dude, my Model 3, it's cool. I have all the software on my computer, so if you need a brake change, you do something in the computer and it separates the calipers to a certain extent, and then you just remove the brake pad and you're set, and then you close it and you're good. And you can check all these different things and have the card help you in taking things off or modifying it. The maintenance modifying stuff, not actually modifying it.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that is something it would be super cool to see from another regular manufacturer, but no one does that. And at the same time, Tesla probably gatekeeps the software and any kind of information for that, so a normal person couldn't do it anyway.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine that being super easy to do, but I've never heard of that, actually. Yeah. That's really interesting, now that you say that. Huh.
Okay. I think that the technology that the electric cars has brought about, I think is really cool, but I just don't think an electric car is something that I still want. I definitely think that it is quite a ways out that I would get one. Yeah.
I feel like eventually it'll be inevitable that we're going to have to buy some sort of an electric car. I just hope it's not anytime soon.
I don't see why manufacturers don't go the route of Koenigsegg with the free valve technology, where it saves so much fuel and it really helps your fuel efficiency.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure they poured millions of dollars into that R&D, so I'm sure they're not going to just share that information willingly with every other manufacturer out there.
Yeah, no, I feel like that definitely won't get, released. And since we're on the topic of electric cars, I actually totally forgot about this car because I tried to put it in my rearview mirror just because this car should not be electric.
Oh, boy.
But the 2024 Chevy Corvette E-Ray. Oh, God, I just want to kill myself saying that. Okay.
At least they're not doing it as bad as they did the Mustang.
Oh, the Mach-E? Yeah. I don't even want to talk about that, but since you brought it up, why? Why did they have to use like Mustang. They didn't even say the Mach-E alone. They said the Mustang Mach-E.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's so many, like, you could have just stuck with the Lightning. And the Lightning, it makes sense for it to be electric.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, Michael was even, we were talking about this a couple days ago. It's like, why couldn't they have brought back, like, an older Ford model instead of bringing back a Mach-E? I mean, the Mach-1 always been a Mustang V8. It was never a pudgy SUV
and then
thing.
when you see like the EcoBoost or the 6 cylinders, you look at them and make fun of them. You're like, you don't have a V8. It's not a real Mustang.
And okay, so getting into the E-Ray, because I don't even want to talk about the Mach-E.
Let's forget about that.
Yeah, there's only so much I can take of electric cars. But apparently the E-Ray...
I know almost nothing about it, so fill me in.
So $104,000 is what they're saying. Jeez. The convertible adds $7,000 and starts at $111,295.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it says the Targa Top E-Ray is nearly $40,000 more than the base Stingray Coupe, which is $65,000. Yeah.
Kind of speechless. Do you know what kind of range you're getting with that?
Let me look at that. Let me look on the range on that one. But it's saying I don't know if you've seen the videos, but the whole thing about the E-Ray is that it's all-wheel drive, but it could do donuts. I don't know why that's the selling point now, but I actually do know why that's the selling point. It's because all these kids that take their mom's cars to these takeovers, it'll be that much easier to swing it in an E-Ray, man. And I think, and Chevy's not the only one that's doing this, but BMW as well. I don't know if you've seen the X3s, but they have like a sort of like a certain mode that makes it easier to drift. An X3. But can you believe that? An SUV of any sort.
I guess.
To be able to drift and do donuts is not, that shouldn't be a thing. I'm sorry, but that's another thing I hate about the automotive industry is SUVs. I know it's a very unpopular opinion, but
I don't like that sense of. I agree to a point.
Okay.
So like a GLE AMG,
mm-hmm.
I think it fits it. It fits it. Like you have like Mercedes is more of like a luxury brand. You add a little bit of sports into it, and you have the AMG. Then you have like an Urus, where literally anybody only wants it because of the name.
Just buy an Audi.
Exactly. It's a glorified SQ8 or whatever.
Yeah.
Or you have Ferraris making their new thing, and it's like, you can get a very similar, an SUV. You're carrying family around, or you're doing groceries, road tripping, whatever you want to say. Like, people aren't going to be doing that in a Ferrari. People aren't going to be doing that in a Lamborghini. The only people that will be doing that are the people that have stupid kinds of money anyway. And they'll be doing that in any car they want, because if something happens, it's just going to get fixed or buy a new one anyway.
Yeah.
Versus like a GLE, like that is a mom car where they're going to be driving everywhere in town. It might hit 100,000+ miles on it. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But it can still have a decent engine and motor that can get you going places quicker than your, I don't know, Ford Escape, whatever model car you want to name.
Yeah.
That's my take on it, at least. I think like the supercar manufacturers need to stay away from it.
I agree with that.
I think lower end manufacturers, even I say lower end when I still say like Mercedes, Lexus, Audi, BMW.
Well, it's lower end compared to a Lamborghini and Ferrari.
Yeah. So like the middle ground sports luxury companies, I feel like that's a very good niche for them to stay at if they're putting out like good numbers, having still like that luxury feel of them. I think it fits it. G-Wagons, for example, I think they're.
Oh,
I don't like them.
Yeah.
It suits Mercedes.
Yeah, it definitely does.
But then like you have a regular Ford Escape. I'll just use again.
Mm-hmm.
That's just going to be something that gets beat on by an everyday person No one's going to care too much about it, and they're not expecting crazy numbers out of it. It's just a regular car for them.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you on the fact that supercar companies need to stay to supercars.
Yeah.
That at the end of the day, that's what I get from that, is that supercars stay in your realm. Keep making cool sports cars.
Especially more so if they're going to take the Lamborghini route, where they're basically taking a model from their sub company, or sorry, I should say their parent company, right?
Yeah.
And they're just rebranding it to have a bowl on it. It's just a different badge. I don't know if Ferrari will do something similar. I've only seen a picture of the SUV maybe once or twice.
Yeah, I've seen a few concepts go around. It reminded
me of a Mazda. So,
wow. Okay. Now I'm gonna look that up, because I need to see that for myself and see if I see that.
Especially, so I don't know like the Mazda SUV model names, but
I think the CX-9 was actually one of the cooler ones.
Like premiered in a red color.
I think it was actually the CX-9.
Yeah, it probably was. Yeah, that's my take on it. I just think that if they're not going to be doing anything special with them, then I don't think they should be touching them. Especially because it's just going to be taking from R&D and money from a different department within Ferrari, Lamborghini, whatever it is. So they're going to be taking away from an actual sports car.
Yeah, something like they could have made like... Okay, I'm looking at it now, actually, and it has the suicide doors. Like this, is it a Rolls Royce? Is it a Kia? Is it a Ferrari? I don't know what it is. I feel like all these new SUVs and supercars and stuff like that are having having identity issues. Like half of the people in the world now. Yeah, because I don't know what the hell this thing wants to be.
Right? It doesn't look right.
Yeah,
not at all.
It looks like they said, let's get a little bit of 812 super fast and, a little bit of Lamborghini Urus in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all types of stuff.
GT4 Lusso. Like, did you want to be a California? Did you want to be an F12? Like,
I actually like that car.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I like the Lusso.
FF. That's another one. It's a mix of the FF, the California, and the F12.
I see the FF design cues in it for sure.
I will say though, at least they kind of took it over from the FF since they stopped making it.
Yeah.
But if you want to go towards that route, I'd say go get an F12, get an A12.
But I mean, at the end of the day, though, the Lusso is cool, and
it is cool.
I mean, the FF is cool too, because it's like, yeah, I can throw my kids back there. Like, come on, guys. Like,
kind of.
Yeah. Well, to an extent, to a certain age.
You can throw your 4-year-old back there.
Yeah,
maybe not a 6-year-old.
If he's small enough, you just shove him down there. Hey, buckle in, you're all good.
No, I can appreciate the GTC4, the V12. I think they sound phenomenal, but
Ferrari V12s. Oh,
yeah. The look for me isn't all there.
Okay,
that's just a personal thing.
Right, right.
I'm not going to knock you for not liking it.
Yeah. When I first came out, though, I definitely did have my doubts about it. But when I saw it in person, I was like, I will say this though, I do not like it in white.
Okay,
I do not like it in white for some reason. Something with my eyes. Red and blue suit that car the best.
Okay.
And I feel like if the car is white, and it looks good still in white, I feel like that's how you know that the car company did a good job at designing it, because you don't have to use colors to hide the ugliness of it. And I'm coming. This is 100% raw. I'm just thinking out loud here, but yeah, when you look at white cars and then you look at something that was debuted with a color, getting back to the M3, it's green. Would we have seen it in white? Would that have been a possibility? Probably not, because they know it wouldn't have looked good.
I think that goes back to your other point of every car company wanting their own special color. So every time they release any kind of irregular model, they need to have some special flashy color on the car, even if it doesn't suit it right.
Yeah.
And they'll never market it like Ferrari of just being Ferrari red.
Right.
It's not Rosa Corsa. It's red.
Yeah.
It's Ferrari red. And yes, I just don't think that every company needs to be having some super flashy color also.
Yeah, no, it definitely, that's a trend. That's
Even
definitely
more
a
so
trend.
when you're going to be asking $10,000 for a paint job on a BMW.
Don't get me wrong, I love the BMW individual paint colors.
Oh yeah, no, they
Those are
look
great.
Like the M4 Heritage on like the F80s that
Yes.
years, like that purple looks freaking amazing.
It really does.
The Yasmarina blue looks phenomenal. The
Austin yellow.
I used to love it.
Really?
I saw another. I've been seeing them like every now and then again, like recently, and I saw it, I was like, I can't believe I used to like that color. It looks very dated now.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't do it for me anymore.
Okay.
I used to be like, first it's Austin yellow, and then it's like a Yasmarina blue. Now it's like, I'd rather have a Yasmarina blue.
Okay, so you think Yasmarina blue is kind of held its own?
I don't think Austin yellow has, especially the other day when I saw one on the freeway. I was like, it just looks like someone hasn't drank water all day, and they decided to pee on the car. This sounds bad to say because I used to really like that color, and I almost bought one at the time, and I was like, nope, glad I didn't.
yeah, you would have been real pissed off at yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting because I like both colors a lot.
I won't knock you for it. Like I said, I used to like it, so I can understand. Like, it did have some kind of appealment to me, but not anymore.
I will pick Yasmarina if you told me to choose between the two. Yasmarina blue on a F80 M3 over Austin yellow. But I think the last great yellow color for BMW was Dakar yellow. Was I like that little lighter? It was lighter tint.
I can't say that I can recall it.
Check that out because that one was definitely a cool yellow tint that not anyone has really tried to replicate.
Okay.
And you see it on the new cars too. You see it on the newer M3s too and the E92s. I'm looking at it right now on the G80s, and it actually doesn't look bad.
Yeah, I would agree that yellow is not something that you see replicated very well nowadays.
No, definitely not. And I mean, even like Corvette having the most of the yellows, I think they have some pretty interesting yellow tints. But I don't know, Dakar yellow. I feel like if I spec'd a Corvette, like if I built a Corvette, I would be like, let me see how Dakar yellow works on that.
That'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, and what's funny is you can actually do that because I don't know if you've played Gran Turismo, the new one.
Not the new one.
Oh, the new one is great.
Yeah?
Yeah, it actually has every single color that manufacturers has come out with.
Oh, nice.
And you can buy the paint chip colors. So if you want Jetstream blue on like a Ferrari F8, you could do that. And I feel like this Gran Turismo, it hasn't topped Gran Turismo 5, but it definitely has some subtle things that I wanted in Gran Turismo 5, and now they're in the new one.
Interesting.
But yeah, car video games, man, that's kind of gone downhill.
Yeah.
Like
While we talk about colors, let me say there's one color that every manufacturer needs to stop making.
What's that?
Is that like light ice blue?
Light ice blue. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
The main car that I would always see it on was like a Toyota Solara, I think it was, something like that. I gotta pull it up.
Yeah, pull it up. I need to see that.
I just think it is one of the most ugly colors because I feel like it's an old car color, but it was. I see it even on like Porsches and like Audis and a few BMWs. I think I've seen it on a Lamborghini a couple of times. I'm just like, no, Ferrari makes that color too. I don't think it is an attractive color. And I talked to someone way back when, and I was asking him like, why do certain manufacturers make this color? Because I think it is god awful. Like,
is it the one that's on this Aventador right here? I'm gonna pull it up and show you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one? Okay.
I don't like that color.
Really?
Yeah.
I like it.
Really?
I like it on the Aventadors at least.
It looks decent on that Aventador, but I don't think that many manufacturers do it right.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks good on the Aventador, but I mean, what color doesn't look good on the Aventador?
I actually saw one on my way here today too.
Really?
Very nice. I haven't seen one in quite a while.
Well, they actually have it on a Diablo GT, but that's a lot. It's a little darker, actually, a little darker tint to it.
I really want to like.
Yeah, that's actually. Yeah, they actually did it on a Diablo SV. Interesting.
Okay, this is closer to it. Like that blue.
Okay, yeah.
See how it's like it.
Yeah, it's boring.
Yeah, and so I was talking to someone. I was like, why do they have ugly colors on cars? And they're like, oh, that's just basically like a filler inventory car where they'll make it in like the cheapest option with the ugliest color, and they'll send it to a dealership. They'll sit on the lot for however many months, and they can finally sell it for a sale. And that's about it. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's literally the only reason. Wow.
I mean, that's what he told me. I'm sure.
There's a few other reasons.
But yeah. I'm not a fan of that color.
Okay. That's interesting. You know what color there's... I mean, I hate to say it because I love it, but I think it's just... It gets back to the photographers. Just totally abusing it is green over tan.
I will say that
spec. I don't know.
Gray is getting way more abuse than green right now. Like, everybody wants a chalk gray. Everybody wants...
Nardo.
Everyone wants Nardo. Like,
yeah. That's second. In my book, that's second.
I think it looks good, yeah, but I don't need to see it on every single car from every single manufacturer. Like,
yeah.
Even BMW, I think, has some kind of Nardo gray option now. Like,
now I'm gonna look that up.
Not to hate on before, but I'm pretty sure like I've seen like Focus STs and RSs in like a Nardo gray. Not the darker gray that they come in. I forget that one, but like even that, like I don't know, man. It's just not for me. I don't think I need to see it on every car.
Yeah, Nardo gray has definitely been outplayed.
Yeah, it's like what happened to the color shift Cerberus blue.
Yeah,
Cerberus purple. Whatever.
Yeah. That got outplayed. Just because of the wraps, though, that's the thing. It wasn't because more cars had it painted. It was more people put the wraps on, and that's the thing. You gotta look at it. It's like, okay, that's a wrap. That's paint. Like I can appreciate paint. Wrap and just like you printed that.
I think it also comes down to just like being able to appreciate a unique color on a car that doesn't normally have that color.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, say 10 years ago when you go to a car show, it felt special to see a Ferrari, even more so like a special Ferrari that wasn't in Rosa Corsa.
Yeah.
Like when I saw a black Enzo for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, like this thing looks nuts. Like, and it even more so because it's just a basic black, but because it's unique for that car,
right?
It is just that much more special.
See, I love a black Enzo, but I will say this, one of the first Enzos I've actually seen was an orange Enzo.
Really?
Lamborghini Newport Beach. The orange Enzo was there the same day the Cerberus Pro P1 showed up.
Would that have
along
to be
with
the Enzo that had the false bin? Do you know?
That I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know about that.
I was talking to someone at Ferrari Newport a long time ago, and at the time they had an orange Enzo in there. And I was asking him about it. He's like, "Oh yeah," or no, it wasn't Ferrari Newport. It was a C&C. It was at C&C.
Oh God!
And I was close with like a lot of the salespeople there, so I was talking to him about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, the VIN actually it has a different VIN than what it actually is." And I was like, "Oh, that doesn't sound fishy." He's like, "Actually, the original car burnt down, so after the Enzos were being made, so Ferrari took it back, made a new Enzo, and stamped the old VIN on it." And I was like, "Oh, that definitely doesn't sound a little fishy, but it's cool."
If that's true, that is insane,
right? I mean,
that is insane.
Surprising for something that Ferrari would do, also with like they're rolling back their miles and stuff.
Oh, that was great when that happened. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the Ferrari collectors definitely have had some rolled back miles. Mr. David Lee, probably. I'm just going to say that right there. I'm sure he's had a few.
So like back when I worked at that dealership, what the owner would do, I knew he would do.
Oh no!
Is, he would switch out the clusters in the older Ferraris to have different mile odometer readings.
Oh. Okay.
So we had a 360 at the time, and I think it had like 40-something thousand miles on it. And he got a package in. He's like, "Oh yeah, open it up, check it out, just make sure like the part is okay." I was like, "Okay." I opened it, and it was a cluster, and I was like, "Okay, I'm pretty sure you sold your 360. I don't know why you would need one for the new car."
Right.
And he's like, "Oh no, we're putting it in the new car. It has less miles on it." I was like,
"Oh
okay.
my god."
I was like, I'm not going to say nothing but you to you, man.
Ferrari owners, man.
Yeah.
I guess that's a thing.
Yeah,
is that like a stigma for Ferrari owners that it's just natural to roll back miles on a Ferrari?
Yeah, I don't know how you do it on new cars, but yeah, he said that that's what he did on some of the cars back then. At least like the older cars. Because I think that the new cars, they have a computer that will talk to the clusters and the transmission and the motor to verify that miles are the same or something like that.
Man, what are these collectors gonna do when with all these new supposed collector cars? What are they gonna do when they realize like, oh, this is too many miles? How am I gonna roll it back? Like, there has to be technology by that point to be able to work around that.
Yes and no. I'm sure someone can figure out something. Like, there's very smart people out there when it comes to the software development, software engineering. But then you're gonna think like, how many people are actually gonna try to choose to do something that illegal, and then even more so than like kind of sell it and market it. That's a quick lawsuit from Ferrari.
I could think of a few names.
Yeah,
I'd rather not say them, but I could think of a few names.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're just gonna have to like. It is what it is. Like if you're that worried about the miles, and I don't know, then get a new car, get a different car.
For sure.
They probably don't even drive it that often anyway.
Yeah, I mean, half of these collectors have so many cars they don't even realize, like, how many miles is on what car until they want to sell it. And then they look back and it's like, oh, well, my car could have been worth $2 million, but it's worth $1 million. Which, I mean, to me, that's, not a loss because you're making $1 million off of it, but I'm sure it definitely is. But having said all that, I think that's going to wrap it up about here.
Okay.
Talking about the rolled back of Ferrari miles. That's a great way to end on a great note.
How about we end on this?
Let's hear it.
Okay. Just simple question.
Yeah.
Anyone wants to join in that's listening.
Yep.
Just because you had it in the last episode, I think we should probably have like something similar throughout each episode. What car would you buy for $70,000? But with one stipulation of one of the cars has to be at least 40 years old.
Okay. Yeah. I like that you put the twist on it because our other one was $50,000 and 2 cars, and that was hard for me.
Yeah, no,
that was
when I was
hard.
watching, I was sitting there and I could not think of like a great answer. I was like, I like my car, and then I was like, but what other car would I get? Because now I'm so limited.
Right.
There's nothing like great that I want. But.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to. So 2 cars, $70K. I'm gonna pick the first one. This is gonna be a Bel Air.
Okay.
I don't know, something about them. I don't like big cars really, and I mean every car from 40 years ago was gigantic.
So you're saying you don't like Aventadors? God.
Hey, okay, all right.
I'm just kidding.
That's a different story. Let's not get into that. But Bel Air, and my second choice is a Golf R. I'm going to be every Orange County photographer ever, and I'm going to pick a Golf R.
Yeah, I couldn't complain about it. Especially like a nice colored Bel Air. Can make some great power out of it.
Yeah.
I know a few people that have had them, and they did quite a lot of stuff to it, and I had like overheating issues, but hey.
Well, that's why this is fake. Not
exactly.
real. Not real. So won't have to deal with overheating issues.
Yeah, I guess that's a plus, right?
Yeah.
All right, for me, I was thinking like a late 60s to mid 70s Mini Cooper.
Oh,
so
okay.
Like an OG Mini.
Oh, I didn't even... Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I like that.
And... Let's see. God, what was the other car I wanted?
There's so many cars.
I know. Oh, no. I want a... Okay. OG Mini, 60, like late 60s, early 70s, and an A45 AMG.
Oh, wow. That came out of left field. I wouldn't even have thought about that car.
That is something I really wanted when they came out. It was around when like the Focus RS came out, and it was like a competition for those two. And you can't get them in the U.S. though.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So instead in the U.S. you get like the GLA 45,
yeah,
the GLA 35 AMG. But yeah, if I could pick, I'd probably say like an OG Mini and an A45 AMG.
That's ideal. That's like you know what that reminds me of? Just I can see you living in Europe. Like, you can't live here. Not with that taste in cars. That's definitely a European style garage. I like that though.
You get like that like hatch look, and you still get like that. I think the OG Minis are so freaking cool. Like
they are. They really are.
But yeah, I think that's what my choices would be.
I like that. I like that a lot. And anybody that's listening, if you want to go ahead and comment down below your choice for a $70,000 2-car garage, and one car has to be 40 years old. So if you want to go ahead and attempt that challenge, go ahead and comment down below on the YouTube video or Instagram video, wherever it may be on. But yeah, curious to see our viewers and what they have to say.
Honestly.
Yeah, because
that's so wild to freaking think of something.
That took me a cool minute. Yeah. I was sitting on the couch. When you put that 40-year-old, like one car has to be 40 years older. I was like, damn, that's going to be tough because I mean, I wasn't even born that long ago. So I'm just like, I gotta look shit up, man. I don't know, but I like your choices actually a lot. That's really good.
Man. I definitely feel like it suits you as well as I know you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, having said that, thank you guys for listening. Those that stayed on for the hour and 12 minutes or so. Go ahead and drop a follow or subscribe on whatever you may be watching on. If it may be YouTube, go ahead and subscribe and give us a like. And share it with your friends as well. And Instagram, if you're not already following us at InGear Media, go ahead and do that. And then go ahead and keep giving us views and keep giving us likes so we can keep making these podcasts because I'm loving this. So
having a good time, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you're able to come out this time. It's fun.
It is.
It's fun.
I mean, this is basically what we used to do at car shows, dude.
Yeah, we're just recording it.
Yeah. Even better.
Yep. So having said that, I'm going to say good night and thank you for viewing and thank you for listening. Bye-bye.